Welcome to the Arrays 1D Part 4 video. My name's Ryan. I'm a computer science teacher. If you're just watching for the first time on this little series for this lesson, you might want to go back to Part 1 to catch the lecture on one-dimensional arrays. If you're already here from the previous videos, we're going to expand upon the RPG Generator 2. We're going to make one called RPG Generator 3. Okay, you'll notice right here I've got the usual suspects of my packages I like to import into my programs, at least for these today. Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and build this out, and we're going to do some similar things. You can probably pull up your other programs and copy them and paste them into this one if you want to, but we will be making additional changes, so just make sure you're keeping up with us and what we got going on. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to practice traversing arrays with using a for loop and a for each loop. And what we'll do is, you'll notice my code's not complete. Okay, and we're printing out some stuff that's not so much part of like any sort of strategy of the code. It's more or less just kind of like, hey, I want you to see the data so you know it's printing out, just to verify that it's happening further down in the chain of the code so you can kind of mentally put everything together. Remember, this is an instructional lab here. Okay, so again, we're going to create a monster array based upon the user input of what's how many they want to put in there. All right, and down here we're printing out the monster array length. Okay, it's nothing super serious. Let's just go ahead and run it, make sure everything is fine. Oh, save, yes, I would definitely like to save now. And cool, saved it for me, and hopefully we don't have any errors. How many monsters do I want to create? I'm going to create 2. The name of my monster is W and arrays and Q. And right here, if I scroll up on my console, the monster array length is 2, okay, which comes from this little handy dandy tool right there. Okay, so we're able to get the length of the array with this piece of code right here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a method called the monster array print for loop, and this for loop is going to allow us to traverse the array by using a for loop. All right, so I got my method right here. It's called monster array print for loop. So let's go ahead and take the time to copy that down, and we're going to put in the rest here in a second. Okay, and I'm just going to paste it down here to save a little bit of time. Okay, so the method that we're going to call, which we're calling it from right here on line 26, this is the method that we're calling right here. Don't worry about my note number 2. That's just there for me to stay organized. Okay, so what's happening, we're passing in the monster array object, which is what we created right up here. Okay, that's what we made right there. So we're passing in the monster array in this method right here. And right here, this method is expecting to receive some sort of monster class type array. And we just put these, just a random name in there. I could have called it anything. I called it MA just as a mental note to remember what it is. Remember, these are square braces right here. Okay, and again, it's public static void. It's void, meaning it's returning nothing. Within the method, we're going to print out the length again, just to show you that I'm able to pass it as a parameter. We're going to print it out again just to verify that's the same length. It should be, unless something crazy is happening that I don't know about. Next, we have a for loop right here, and this for loop, what it's going to do is we're initializing integer I, okay, and we're set to 0, and then as long as I is less than the length, we're going to keep adding to I, okay. And what will happen is down here in the system.out.print line, we're going to print out each one of the monster objects from the array by calling in the variable name that we passed right here, and then within the array square brackets we're going to put the letter I in. So the first position it's going to check is going to be the 0 position, and then it's going to go to 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, that should compile, unless I forgot to do something. Nope, I'm pretty lucky. So let's go ahead and run this. How many monsters do I want to create? Let's create 5 just for fun. I'm just going to give them generic names. ERT. Okay, let me move my console up so we can see all the results. So there's all my monster names. Right up here is where I wrote out I should have done 6, so I got QWERTY across there. That'd been pretty cool. Okay, so the monster array length is 5. That's what's coming from, let me move this down a little bit. Okay, that's what was coming from right here on line 24. Okay, that's
arrays store list of information.
That's where this one comes from. And then when we call the method right here on line 26, it comes inside this method. And here again, we print it out just to say, hey, I see how it's getting, passed back and forth. Next, down here inside the for loop, we run the for loop. And again, we're going to print out each one of these monster array objects. And you'll notice that the first one says name Q, and then prints it out. If you scroll up here, okay. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. We didn't print out the monsters up there. We print them out right here. Okay, so we print the monsters out right here, and then you can go through and see that we have them all. Okay, I have a little grammar issue I probably should have fixed. I could have just not used the name monster. I could have probably deleted that and not have the word monster on there twice. So if I rerun it, no big deal. We'll just do 3 and let's give it. Okay, there, that looks a little bit nicer without the same monster. Okay, that is what the monster array for loop does, going through it. Now you could have done something else, and you might see somebody saying, no, we have to do it this way, which is cool. You could put less than or equal, and then right here you just subtract 1. And watch this. I'll run it again. I'm going to go with 3, and we'll say WER, and again does the same exact thing. Now these are random generated, so that's why the information is different. Now, just for fun, let's say we don't have -1 right there. Let's see what happens if I run it. And how many monsters do I want to create? Oh, no issues. I guess I didn't need that -1 now, did I? The name of my monster, WE, and R. And oh, there's my problem. Look at this. Okay. So I chose to have 3 right here, right? So we got W, E, and R. Okay, no problems. Length is 3 in both locations. I print out 3 of the monsters I created. Pretty cool, no problems. But then arrays, roar! We get an error down here. The error happens because this loop is running one more time after printing the last item in the array list. Because right here we're checking the length. The length is 3. It's starting at 0, which is this first one. Then it goes 1, 2, but the loop is looking for the number 3, so it's going to come back one more time and make I the number 3. Okay, so that's why we got to either subtract 1 from the length or just make it less than the length. So that way it'll go up right up to the last digit before it gets to the point where it's past the last subscript in the array. Okay, let's go ahead and clear that out, and we're going to build another method here. I'm going to move my console down so I can see more of my code, and we're going to build another method right here underneath line 26. Here on line 28, I'm going to type in the code for the next array, and it's going to be called monster array print for each. Okay, and inside the parentheses we'll pass in the monster array object. Just so you know, this is going to use the for each loop that we saw in the lecture at the very beginning of this lesson. All right, let me go ahead and get the method for you. We can crank that thing out. So this one will use the for each loop. We're just going to put the method right below the for loop, right down here. Give yourself a little bit of space. Let's make sure we line that up. For some reason it doesn't copy and paste very well. Okay, so monster array print for each loop. Again, it's passing in the array. We call this one MA2. Doesn't really, we didn't have to call it MA2. It could have been MA just the same. But I called it MA2 just so I know if I came down and saw this one, and my eyes were kind of scanning the code and I wasn't looking at all the details, it would visually at some point notice that this one had a different variable type or different variable name than this one, and it kind of helped my mind kind of keep track of where everything is. Once we call the method, same thing happens. We pass in the array object. Here we're going to print out the length. We should see the same value that we saw right up here. The difference will be in the for loop right here. We just create some sort of random name, could be anything you want, and it's going to go through each of the index positions in this array, and down here it's going to print out that object, okay? And it's going to print the object. We don't have to put the array index position, because one of the cool things about the for each loop is that it knows where that index position is. And when it prints, again, remember over here in monster, okay, down at the bottom, when it's printing it, Java is calling the toString method right here to print it, okay? And we had to program the toString method to print it, or it would not work at all. And I think, let's go back over here and make sure that compiles. Good, no major errors. I'm going to run it. I'm going to make my console a little bit larger here. How many monsters do I want to create? Let's just keep it easy, 3. And let's go Z, X, C. And let's scroll up. So it should print out the first length, which was 3. That was from the main. And then here, that's from the for loop where it printed out 3. Remember, I had MA right there. Okay, and it prints out all 3 of them. Down here in the for each loop, again, we printed out the length. And that is from this line of code right here on line 43. Okay, that's where that's from. And down here, again, we just printed out the monsters again, okay? They should be exactly the same as the ones up here. And if you look at it, Z is an ogre that uses a rock and is blue. And you come down here, you'll see that Z, it has the same exact characteristics as the previous one. Okay, it's the same exact object. And the same thing goes for all the way to, I believe, C. Okay. One of the benefits of the for each loop is that it's a little bit easier to code, and you don't have to worry about keeping track of the array positions. Okay, so pros and cons, either way, that is all there is to it for Java RPG Generator 3. We'll see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.